Hello, Phil Croshaw here, and today is day 12 of the 31 days lives in August. And today we're going to be talking this is all about the nerds and the geeks of the world. And today we're going to be talking about the tech. Yes, the technology that goes behind all this beautiful face and everything else. Oh, yeah, okay, whatever. Right, so let's crack on. Here we go.
I want to be there and baby dance the night away. I let my hair down if I want. Don't you just get tired chasing fame and being pretty all the time? Doesn't sound like fun. You can do better. Let me show you what a good time looks like. You can do better. You can do better. Let me show you what a good time looks like. You can do better. I dare you to be wilder. Let me show you what a good time looks like. My shoes off if I want. Let yourself be free and maybe you will find that there is more to life than being pretty. Honey, let's just face it. Baby, let your head down, be a little wilder. Baby, kick your shoes up, you don't have to hide it. Baby, let your head down, be a little wilder. Baby, kick your shoes up, don't hide it. I don't fit into your box, beauty queens without no flaws. You can do better. I dare you to be wilder.
Okay, very warm welcome to 31 Days Live in August with me, Phil Croshaw. And today we're going to be talking tech. We're going to be talking geeky tech because a lot of people actually, surprisingly, to be honest, a lot of people are interested in the technology. What do you use? What don't you use? So I've just pulled a few bits and pieces together just to show you what I use for the live streams, but also give you an indication of what's available for video production in general. And this is just a few examples of what we use, but it'll give you some ideas and thoughts. Now, I just want to say, first of all, that there's absolutely no reason you have to use all this technology. And I could be here for an hour and a half, and don't worry, you're not going to be here for an hour and a half, just explaining all the different technical options. But you can, just to get started, you can just get your phone out, get your smartphone out. And actually, I've just realized I've not got my smartphone. I've left it somewhere. See, this is what happens when you're live, apart from the fact that it's absolutely roasting today, which is why I'm in here and not in the studio, because it's just too hot in there. When you get to my age, you feel the heat, you know. Come to think of it, you feel the cold as well, actually, but there you go. Yeah. Oh, actually, I've just felt a buzz in my pocket, so I know where my phone is. I didn't know I got it in my pocket, but I have got it in my pocket, so I'll pop it down there for a minute. So yes, I was saying, so you can get your phone out, you can do live streaming on your phone, you can live stream on YouTube, on Facebook, you can live stream on Instagram using your phone. You can't multi-stream through the software I'm using today, or the system I'm using today, which I'll talk about in a minute, onto Instagram, but it's not the only reason you can't is because Instagram or Facebook won't allow the IP to be the app to be allowed to access it. Won't release the IP for it. So therefore, as a result, you can't do multi-stream to Instagram. You can stream to LinkedIn, but you have to be allowed to. And I've not got that permission yet myself. So relatively few people have got it, and I'm not sure. I've been trying to work out the criteria that allows you to live stream in LinkedIn, because it seems to be very random. And I have spoken to a couple of people as to why exactly they think they got LinkedIn live stream and they're not sure themselves. So actually, I've got a theory that maybe they just kind of go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, you know, and choose the ones they want. But that's the way it goes. I do know a couple of people at LinkedIn. I might have to tap them up and see if I can get any favors, but that would be very inappropriate, wouldn't it, to do that? So I may do that, I may not do that. But you can actually multi-stream to LinkedIn as well through this that I'm using today. So what do I use? Okay, well, in terms of live streaming, this is my setup. At the moment, I use a Canon 80D, which is a camera which I already owned, which is a fantastic camera. It plugs straight into the laptop, because Canon, you can plug them straight into the laptop. So as a result, I've got this, what in effect is like a professional, relatively expensive camera. In all honesty, I wouldn't say go out and buy a camera, especially, 800, 900, $1,000 plus. Don't go out and buy a camera just to do a live stream. It's perfectly okay to use our friends here, which is this one here is called the Logitech 922. There's a Logitech 920, Logitech 920, as well as there's a Logitech. This is the 922, really good quality. And I'll pop that on in a minute. That's always risky, because if you switch cameras mid live stream, it can cause all sorts of problems. But jeopardy is all part of the process. So that's a Logitech 922. There has been a shortage of webcams. I'm not sure if it's still the case. Why? I'll let you guess why. Maybe because just about everybody's going online and everybody's doing Zoom and everything else, and everybody's going, oh my God, look terrible. Oh God, and it is true that the laptop cameras are really, really poor quality overall in most cases. Even the expensive Macs, and I use PC, by the way, but even the expensive Macs, they are very... the webcams are awful on them, and it's because there's very little room. So if you look at your webcam, you can see it's just a dot basically. So you've got very little room for the camera, so you don't get a particularly good quality. So webcams are a great option, but if you've got cameras that you can plug in, then you can do that, which is fine. So Canon 80D is the camera today. And next thing, I've got a Dell laptop, basic PC, nothing special about it, 600-700 quid when it was bought. Windows 10, it makes sense to have Windows 10 for various obvious reasons, including the security side of things. I also then have this mic, and this mic is called a Shure SM7B. And I've got this furry thing on the front, and that actually specifically makes it more of a radio sound. So it makes it more of a boomy sound. Now you do get with it a much shorter foam, which makes it sound less boomy, and it's absolutely totally preference. Different people prefer different things. So all right. Just already, I've got somebody called Nathan Newman. There you go, Nathan. Don't know who this guy is. Bit of a stalker, actually. Hello, Nathan. He's a mate of mine, actually, and a colleague too. So thanks, Nathan, for coming along today for the tech. This guy is actually way more tech than me, actually, so he could embarrass me at any point in time. But that's all part of the fun, isn't it? Let's be honest. So, okay, so let's have a look. What else we got? So laptop, as I mentioned. The other thing that I've got, which is I think makes a huge difference to these kind of live streams, and that's a mixer. And the mixer I've got is called the Rodecaster Pro, and I love this piece of kit. I have to say, out of all the kit I own, this is the kit I love the most. It's called a Rodecaster Pro, and it's basically like a mixing desk, and it does all sorts of jiggery pokery. It's not cheap. I think it's about 550, 600 quid, something like that. But for me personally, and what I do, and obviously I do a lot of this stuff for a living, it's absolutely worth every single penny. So this is where we get really, really cocky and very dangerous, is that I'm going to switch to the webcam that I just showed you in order to see if I can show you. Oh, Hang on, here we go. Here we go. Whee! Okay, as you can see, I'm in the lounge today because it's so hot, as I mentioned. Right, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to try and keep it as still as possible. This is the Rodecaster Pro, and I absolutely love this piece of kit. Okay, so what you've got is you've got these sliders. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different mics to plug into. So it's a fantastic piece of kit for doing podcasting because you can get together socially distanced. And obviously, hopefully, after that, you can actually get back to normality. I do podcasting on this all the time, and you plug 4 different mics in, and you can control the volume of all the different people on the stream. The next one here, this controls the loudness or the volume, I should say, of anything that's coming out of the computer. So, sorry, out of the laptop. So, for example, there's numerous ways that I use this. So, at the beginning of this live stream, I do an intro, and that controls the loudness, the volume level of that intro, as an example of that. This slider here, this controls a smartphone. So you can plug a smartphone in, and then that will control the volume of the smartphone. That is fantastic for if you want to do dial-in phone-in calls, like phone-ins, like radio show phone-ins. You can ring people, or they can ring you, and it'll pick up the sound of both the voices on the phone and at this end at the same time, and smooth them out in terms of the volume of those. This one here is Bluetooth. So again, you can connect another phone or another gadget, an iPad, say for FaceTime, to your iPad and bring that in at the same time. So there's all sorts you can do. These pads here, these colored pads, which people quite usually get fairly excited about, they're the different sounds that you can produce. And obviously you can load these with any sound you can conceive pretty much. So for example, one of the things I like to do some now and again is play a bit of applause. And that again controls the volume of that. You can also put audio tracks on here. You can put podcast clips. You can put music. So I think this is music. So you could do that as an introduction. So you could sort of play that and go, "Hello, Phil Croshaw here. Welcome to the show." Today we're going to be talking tech, the tech. Anyway, you get the gist, don't you? So you can control those pads in that way and have some great fun with those. And actually, they do have. Whoops, let me just change that again. They do actually have. Can you see this? I don't know if you can see this. Probably just about. There's all sorts of different pads. So you can get something in the region of about 80 different sounds, all programmed in at the same time. So that's it. There's volumes here. You can change the volumes of the different headphones as you want them. You have you can plug speakers in, so you can actually have speakers in rather than just headphones. And you can actually plug headphones into it, which as you can see here, I've actually plugged in my headphones into it so I can hear all the different channels. That's probably the main parts of it. But yeah, great piece of kit. And if you're into podcasting and you want to expand your live streaming and your podcasting broadcasting experiences, then this is definitely worth having a look at. And whilst I've just got the webcam on, I'll just show you very quickly that is the Canon 80D. So I'll just put that up there. So you can see that's the Canon 80D. That's obviously that's the what I was talking about. So next then we're going to talk about some of the other stuff that you can use, which we'll talk about in a minute. So I'm just going to put that back down there, and I'm going to try and switch it back to this main camera without it blowing up. Oh, crikey. It worked. That's a relief, because sometimes it gets its knickers in a twist. The software that I use is called Streamyard, and you will find that available streamyard.com, and Streamyard allows you to bring up to 10 guests in. So some of you will know I use this to interview guests, and allows you to put overlays on it. So like Live Streamers Association, Phil Croshaw live show, but you can put your own versions of these on, and they're absolutely brilliant. And it's just simple Photoshop, or you can have them designed on Fiverr or on Elance for relatively small amounts of money, actually $5, $10 or whatever, so, or do it yourself, learn how to do it yourself. So streamyard.com. You can multi-stream, as I've said before. I'm multi-streaming at the moment to Facebook Live Streamers Association, my own Facebook page, and YouTube, and you can do that at the same time. It also brings in comments, so like I did a second ago with Nathan. So if you get comments in from any of those places, you can just show them on the screen in that way, and comment on them. Questions are a great way to deal with questions, because sometimes you get people asking questions in the comments, and you can bring them up and deal with them live, or obviously in some cases pre-recorded. That's probably the main thing. StreamYard, the thing I'm on, the plan I'm on is 20 quid. I think it's 20 quid a month, $20, 20 quid, not sure which. And that gives you multi-stream opportunities and various other jiggery pokery, which I'll let you check out for yourselves. But this is what I use. There are others. If you want to get very, very professional, you can get into things like vMix is another one. The vMix is very popular. You've got what else have you got? You've got Ecamm, but that's for Mac only, I believe. Ecamm is another software, and then there's a freebie that most people know of who are into all this kind of thing called OBS. And OBS is again pretty sophisticated and free to use, but it's a little bit more complicated. It's not very complicated, but it can be a little bit more complicated compared with this StreamYard, which is really easy for simple-minded people like me. Okay, very warm welcome to Phil. Here's a good, thanks for that for Phil. You showed me how you can pull in the comments and you can just whack up the comments. So Phil, thanks very much indeed for joining me today on this. You must be a geek or bored. I'm not quite sure which, because obviously this is all about tech. So thanks, Phil. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate it on this incredibly hot day. I mean, crikey, was it hot last night or what? We had a fan on, actually, and it was still very, very warm. I'm not over keen on overly hot weather, which I know some people will hate me for. But it can get a little bit, can't it? Anyway, apparently I keep expecting thunderstorms, keep saying thunderstorms, and then not a single drop appears. But there you go. That's just the weather forecast, because they've only spent about 30 million quid this year on computer upgrades at the Met Office, and they still can't tell you exactly when a thunderstorm's going to come or not, which I always find a bit strange, really, in this modern day. But obviously, it must be way, way, way too sophisticated. Okay, so that's thanks, Phil. He's both bored and he's interested in the tech, so that's fair enough. I love a bit of honesty. That's the great thing about live stream. It is about the honesty, isn't it? I've still not had a situation yet where a bird has flown in through the window and pooped on my head, which would then go viral and make me a multi-billionaire on YouTube. It's not happened yet, but who knows? You never know. There could be a birds up there just having a chat at the moment, thinking, right, we'll just go and sweep and dump on that bald head anytime now, any minute now. Okay, what else I've got then to show you from a tech point of view? This is another camera that you can use for live stream. This is a new camera from a company called Sony. I think most of you have heard of Sony. This is called a Sony ZV-1. Of course, the Americans call it the ZV-1, but obviously being a Brit, I call it the ZV-1. This is an amazing camera. And you've got more power in this than you have in the Canon 80D, which is twice the size that I showed you a minute ago. And that's technology, isn't it? It's increasing all the time in terms of the power, but it's getting smaller all the time as well in terms of the size. This on the top here is what's called a dead kitten. Yeah, this is where the animal lovers start getting very upset. So this is a dead kitten. Whoops, there you go. Yeah, so this is a dead kitten. So this actually, the bigger ones, which I'll show you in a second, but the bigger ones are called dead cats. And because these are little, they call them dead kittens, and everybody gets very upset. Here's the deal. It's not a real kitten. It's just a name. It's just the way. I don't know where it's come from. But what these do, for those of you that don't know, is these will stop the wind noise. So you know how if you're outside, you've watched telly maybe sometimes or watched YouTube videos, and you hear the wind blowing in the microphone, it's going, well, that stops it. Don't ask me how. I don't know the science, but that's actually what stops it. So this you can plug in. You need to plug into something called a capture card, and this is an example of a capture card. Let's put that up there. And that is a capture card that's called an Elgato Cam Link. I think that's a 4K Cam Link. And again, these have been absolutely, if I was Elgato now, I mean, I can't even start to imagine how much cash they've got in the bank, because these in America, they're normally about 120 quid. Doesn't look much, does it, for 120 quid? But in America, they were going for $320 because everybody wanted one, so they could change or convert the cameras that they had into webcams, because, as I said earlier, the webcams on the laptops were so poor. So there's a massive demand, almost like a gold rush for these capture cards. Yeah, they don't look much, but you plug the camera into this, which then goes into your laptop, and then automatically then your Sony ZV-1 becomes a webcam. And these are fantastic for webcams. But these are also great for excuse me, for vlog recording. And as you can see, I have here a strap on it and a tripod on it. And I use this for vlogging. So I'll hold it up. And the great thing about this is you can actually put it out further, so you get more background. You can see that. There you go. You get more background. You get more in the background. And some people like the background, see the background. You also get a blurry background with these, which is looks a bit more professional. And yeah, love this camera. £699, not the cheapest, obviously, but at the same time, it does all sorts. It takes great photographs, and if you're geeky, this is the sort of stuff you spend your money on. Just the way it goes, isn't it? And I don't drink actually either, so I've probably saved more on alcohol over the last 10 years, because it's only the last 10 years I've not drunk. And by the way, I'm not an alcoholic. Not that there's anything wrong with being an alcoholic necessarily. It's a tough gig. Just so happens that I just can't be bothered with alcohol anymore. I do have the odd beer, of course, but just makes me tired, especially in this weather. So I just don't tend to bother drinking these days. So I've definitely saved enough money from alcohol to get this kit. So that's the ZV-1 and the Cam Link. What else have we got? Another vlogging thing that I use, which again you can use as a live stream camera. A lot of people don't know this, is the GoPro. You can actually plug it in, and it can be used as a live cam, as a live webcam. So again, just check it out. Check it out online, YouTube, Google, the usual places. And this is a bit of a bigger. This is more of a dead cat rather than a dead kitten, because you can see it's bigger. And that gives you a better quality of sound on the GoPro. So again, you can use it in that way, pointing towards you, or alternatively, of course, you take all this gubbins off, and it's waterproof and shockproof. So if you go cycling a lot, people use these to record their cycling, and you'll see loads of videos on YouTube showing people riding along with these on the handlebars. And actually, I think they're pretty cool. GoPros are great. The stabilization is amazing. Okay, what's stabilization? Well, stabilization is that whole thing when you're moving the camera around, it can make the viewer feel a bit sick because, of course, you get all that jumping, jogging around and that jittering around. Whereas stabilization is either digital or mechanical, and it basically, the camera itself rewrites that moving around. And that's why GoPros are so popular on bikes and on skateboards and skateboarding and all that kind of thing. And the other thing I love about this GoPro camera as well is the fact that you can, because it's waterproof, you can take it out and swim with it. And me and my wife went out to Crete last year, and we went swimming in the water. I just literally had that GoPro in my hand, and I was just recording all the fish and the colourful fish. And as you can possibly tell, it's absolutely tiny. You know, I mean, this is bigger because it's got obviously in the rig, but that bit there is basically the camera. That's it. So I got some fantastic shots and some fantastic video of that, and it's great to play back. And it's strange how, especially now when you can't go anywhere, it's absolutely amazing to be able to look back at those video clips of swimming in the beautiful Aegean Sea, I think it was, and watching the fish and everything. And it takes you back, and it does take you back. And you know, everybody has different experiences with videos and photos, but I just love certainly looking back. It takes me back. It reminds me, brings back the memories, as it probably does with most people. So that's the GoPro. Another camera which is quite popular. These don't work with computers. These work with iPhones and iPads. And obviously in Samsungs and Androids and such like, they work with the things like this as the view. Now this is called a MiVO, and there's a new one now called MiVO Start. I mean, this is the thing, you see, it never ends, does it? It's always new stuff coming out. And for this one, you do, as I say, you need an iPad to work with it, or a smartphone. But what I like about this one is, and obviously I can't show you, but you put it onto the screen of your iPad, and you can actually pinch it to move around like as if you've got multiple cameras. So you can zoom in on other things, you can zoom in on the background, you can zoom in on yourself, you can make yourself closer, all the rest of it, just by pinching on the screen. And they're made for live streaming. So this is a MiVO. Check it out if you're interested. MiVO Start or MiVO Plus this is. And if you're in that geeky world, and I know a few people who I actually know personally who use these. I've seen them using these. So that's the MiVO. What else without boring you to death? Well, there's a few bits and bats, but I won't go into everything. But this is the microphone that I use out and about, or used to. This is called the Rode Reporter. Obviously, I'm a bit of a Rode fan, aren't I? And this is the Rode Reporter, and it really is a fantastic interview mic. And I've used this for a number of gigs, including client gigs. Now, with the new situation, I tend to obviously clean the top. I mean, don't do it very often at the moment for all the obvious reasons, but I tend to clean the top, disinfect the top, and then I put this onto what's called a boom pole. And you might have seen these on the TV, and this goes on the boom pole, and then I can put it under people's faces, under my face, but from the 2 meters distance. And it kind of works well, and you don't need it right up to the face, which is obviously important in the current climate as well. And that's called a Rode Reporter. This on the bottom is called a Rode Link. Rode are fantastic. I just love that company. So Rode Link, and this is the thing that goes with it. So this goes on the camera, and it means that this talks to this, which means you're wireless. So you've got no wires, and you'll have seen these on the TV, I'm sure, many times, and they're using them all the time now on news broadcasts and such like. And it means that you can go wireless. You've not got loads of wires tripling about. You can wander around. You're not going to trip over them. You're not going to fall over them. And this is called the Rode Link. And again, I'm a big fan of this. on the basis that technology is always changing and always developing, one of the things I use a lot for outside broadcasts and for client interviews and such, like when I'm out and about, is this little thing here called the Rode Wireless Go. This is the Rode Wireless Go. Okay. And the great thing about the Rode Wireless Go is it's so small and such amazing quality for what we're talking about here. So one end, in simple terms, I've got two of these actually, so I can do multiple, but one of these goes on the camera, literally into the horseshoe mount at the top, sits there, plugs into the camera, and then the other one goes on your lapel. So it goes on your lapel like that, and that becomes your microphone. And again, there's no wires, so you can walk around. You can interview guests without them tripping over things. And you can also add a lavalier mic into this. And a lavalier mic is one of those little lapel mics that you get that you can plug into here and then just clip it onto the shirt like you would normally do. And you're away, and it's completely wireless. So they're great for walking around. They're great for doing mini documentary type things. And I've got two of these because when I do interviews, especially at the moment, you can put one of these onto you, one of these onto your guest, connected the other ends to the camera, and you can then do interviews and you just wipe them down before and after, obviously with wipes to disinfect them. And they're a fantastic way of doing interviews in a COVID world. So, you know, this sort of stuff is just what I kind of just enjoy. It's a hobby as much as anything else. Let's just check out here what Phil's saying. Knife depth. No, you see, you can now. You can see. You can now see the geeks getting involved. Phil, nice depth of field. Phil, definitely you are a geek if you're talking about depth of field. There is a depth of field on this. It could be actually, I get more depth of field in the studio, but as I mentioned earlier, it's too hot in there today for me to go in there. It's absolutely scorching. So the bit, if I was further away, you get even more depth of field. But it says Phil says it's slightly blurred. So you get what people call the blurry background. And that is definitely something that people tend to want because what it does, in fact, I've said this before and I'll say it again now. If you watch movies and you watch TV documentaries or even TV shows, so for example, Line of Duty's on at the moment, isn't it? You just watch how blurry the background is 80% of the time. Nobody notices it until somebody points it out. And the problem is now, of course, you'll be looking at every flipping thing you watch on television in the next few weeks. You'll be looking for the blurry background. And what it does, it brings out the person. So because the blur tends to make the person look more in focus. So if that makes sense. So that's how it works. So thanks for noticing that, Phil. And maybe on another show, I'll talk a bit more about the blurry background. Phil, where am I based? I'm based in Manchester, sir. I'm actually in near Worsley, about 8 miles west of Manchester. Yeah, exactly where second COVID started to hit. Do you know what? I'm not going to go there because I could very easily get on a soapbox about the idiots that have created this situation. But I'm not going to go there. But I think I've given you a clue as to my views about the stupidity of people. Never ceases to amaze me. 80-20 rule in everything in life. 20% of people are idiots. Okay? Just my experience, just my view. Obviously, people will disagree with that, but that's the conclusion I've come to over the past 30 or 40 years. Not that I've been on this planet, that I've been old enough to make these or see or make these judgments. Yeah, so thanks for that, Phil. So that's probably the main stuff. I did get the other day, let's reach over for this. I've got here a this microphone. This microphone is the dog's flu flops, if that's such a phrase. This is called the Videomic NTG, and it's brilliant because it acts as a webcam mic, so you can basically use it for interviews, for Zoom, for talking to people online. Fantastic. And it just plugs in out of here into the mixer, into the laptop, direct into the laptop. Actually, it's called a USB mic, and you can control the actual volume like that. But it also acts as a normal mic that you can put on a boom pole, and you put it on a boom pole, and then you can point it above people, and it's directional. In other words, the sound comes out of people's mouths or out of whatever you're filming and goes kind of straight into here. So it basically cuts out background noise, or significantly reduces background noise. And there's a lot more to that, but that's the basic principles. Just love this mic. And as I say, it's dual purpose. So you get numerous different ways you can use it. And it connects to a boom pole. So I did a filming shoot for a company the other day, and we put that on a boom pole, set it all up on a stand, and it picked up all three guests really, really well. And there was no social distancing issues at all. Probably, well, I'll just mention a couple more things before we call it a day. But this is something that I use for years, and these are perfectly adequate for what we're talking about here. These are obviously mini camcorders, and I use this for years, and I used it in the business, and I used it for producing quality productions for clients, and nobody yet has not paid me, but there's always a first at some point. And so camcorders, and you can get them very, very cheaply. So, 200 quid, 150 quid, 200 quid on eBay and such like. So that one's a Panasonic, and that served me well before I got really geeky. And then finally, what I use for the professional shots and the professional stuff, and again, believe it or not, you can use this as a webcam. And I might actually set it up at some point during these 31 days of live streams, because this is a Canon XF400, and this is more of a professional camcorder, but you can actually use it as a webcam. And I have tested it, tried it, and it did actually work. But this is getting more obviously expensive. But these things are getting cleverer and cleverer. And one of the things about when you're in this world and you're in this game is there's always something coming out which is better, more higher quality, maybe even cheaper. Sorry, got distracted for a second. All the kit, everything else, you're never satisfied in a way, because there's always something coming out that is going to be better quality, maybe even cheaper. So you have to be careful, really. You have to get to a point where you're satisfied with what you've got. And I'm probably at that point now. And of course, what will happen now is something will come out and I'll want it, and then I'll be embarrassed and eating my own words. It's possible. It is possible. But at the moment, I have got everything I need to do live streams, to do video production, audio podcast production. And the reality is that I kind of, in terms of the production side of things, I've been involved in video interviews for many years, since 2003. But in terms of actually getting into the tech and the knowledge of the tech to do it and produce it, I'm only probably about 3 years in. So I'm not an absolute, 100% expert. Been doing it since I was 16. But I just got into it, loved it, and just learned as quickly as I could, and learned everything I could. And now I've set up Geeky Media to make the most of the opportunity and to actually do it as part of the Geeky Group offering, and it allows me to play with the stuff but produce useful content for clients and such like. So thanks very much, Phil. Delighted you could come on, and I think you need to be my agent. So thanks very much for saying great stream. Hopefully some people have got something out of it. I did warn everybody beforehand and in the last day or two that this was very much a geek fest. So it will be a great cure for insomnia for anybody that's not into the tech or not really interested in the tech. But you don't have to be interested in the tech to do live streaming. You really don't. It's just one of those things that if you're into it, you can get more involved in it and go down the rabbit hole of information, knowledge, and playing in the sandpit of cameras and microphones and mixers and all sorts of stuff. Right, okay, I think that'll do us today. We're on to just up to 40 minutes. It's the 12th of August today, so that's the 12th live stream in the bag. Just to finally say, I've got some cracking guests lined up over the next couple of weeks. Dion Taylor's going to be on, off the top of my head. Dave Scholes is going to be on, an interview with Dave Scholes. Nathan Newman, who you saw maybe earlier saying hello. Nathan's going to be on. Steve Smith from NUIG, Northwest Employee Engagement Group's going to be on, talking about employee engagement. Ronnie Carson's going to be on talking about how he's adapted his escape room business to meet the needs of the new market. That's a cracking one. I'm delighted to have Ronnie on because he has been a real example of somebody who's adapted his business and, sorry to use the word, but pivoted his business to meet the needs of the new norm, as it were. So he's been doing virtual escape rooms, experiences. He's been very, very clever with all that. Very impressed with what he's done. And he will be talking about how he's done what he's done and why he's done it. And how fascinating it is that his business, his escape room business, which is in East Manchester, has become a bit of a global phenomenon because he's been picking up guests and players from all over America. So a great story as to how to adapt, but also a great story of how you can globalize your business, which would have never happened without the COVID situation. Andy Hall, hi Andy, great to see you on here. He's asking me actually when Nathan's on, so I'm going to check this out now live on air because I couldn't remember. I think it's the 17th. Let me just check my diary. Just talk amongst yourselves for a second. Goodness me. That's right. So he's on at 10:30 a.m. on the 17th of August, which I think is next Monday. I don't know anybody else, but I'm totally and utterly losing all track of time and dates. So yeah, so next Monday, Andy, he'll be on. And Nathan's fantastic. Nathan knows about marketing, digital marketing, but on a next level. He understands about live streams. He's done some really interesting stuff globally with live streams, and he's also understands all the data. He's brilliant on the data. So whereas some people know a little, know about the about social media in terms of content and digital media in terms of, I'm more your content guy. Whereas he's somebody who knows all about data, and data's so important in understanding digital media now, and it's what a lot of people don't understand. What exactly is the data telling you? What is your marketing working? Is it not working? He has all sorts of models. It's actually possibly on the verge of another geeky show, another geek show. But he really knows his stuff, and he's a great guy as well. So yeah, Andy, absolutely true. That will be deep. It will be deep, but I'm really looking forward to it because he's a guy that really stimulates you when you talk to him. Right, I think that'll do us. We're now at 40, coming up to 45 minutes. Hopefully that's been useful. I always say to everybody that I do this for four eyes: information, ideas, inspiration, and insight. And if you get any of those four things, then that's great. I also say every time, it's like coming into a supermarket. There might be certain things I've said that resonate with you, other things that don't. Just like you're in a supermarket, you leave some things on the shelf and you put some things in your basket. So hopefully you've put a few things in your basket, left a few things on the shelf, and that's it. So until next time, tomorrow, I don't think I've even decided what I'm doing tomorrow. I don't think, but I'll have a think and I'll come up with something, I'm sure, this afternoon as I melt today on this hot day in Manchester. But I believe it's even hotter down south. So thanks very much for joining me today, people. I really appreciate it. And if you're watching this on catch up or as a recorded video, I still hope that you've got something out of it. And if you've got questions, just pop them in the comments and I will check them out now and again. And I'll try and come back to you with some answers. So that's it. Thanks very much. Bye for now.